In the desolate wasteland of the Fallout universe, the weapon you're packing can mean the difference between certain death and living long enough to see another brutal day. One very obvious example is the .32 pistol, which is directly based on the Smith & Wesson second model. This is made especially clear by the Smith & Wesson logo that can be seen on the gun's hilt. The real-world inspiration for the R91 assault rifle is a bit more obscure though. It appears to be based on an early version of the Heckler & Koch G3 that was developed in Germany in the 1950s. Unlike later models, it featured a wooden handguard and buttstock, much like its in-game model. Fallout 3's Shansei Type 17 is based on a real pistol called the Shansei Type 17. What you may be surprised to learn is that the gun is just a Chinese copy of a German-made Mauser C96, or it is often nicknamed the broom handle. Manufactured from 1896 to 1937, this pistol was a favorite of the young Winston Churchill, who used it in the bloody Battle of Omdurman in 1896 and often claimed that it saved his life. Fallout New Vegas' grenade launcher also appears to be artistically based on the China Lake grenade launcher, which was originally created especially for Navy SEALs in 1968. One gun referenced in Fallout 3 is not actually a usable weapon, but if you look closely, the Ruger GP100 revolver handgun appears on the cover of Guns and Bullets magazine. The extremely deadly Lincoln's Repeater probably has the most interesting real-world counterpart, the Henry 1860, or as it is usually called, the Henry. Due to being both expensive and incredibly effective, it was highly prized by any Union soldier who could afford one during the American Civil War. Then there's the Flamer, which appears to be directly based on the M2 flamethrower used by American troops across the world in World War II. Fallout New Vegas' Joshua Graham is a big fan of the .45 auto pistol. In fact, he is seen loading a whole table full of them when the player is introduced to him. When the player comments on them, he says that this type of .45 automatic pistol was designed by one of his tribe almost 400 years ago. The real-life pistol he's referring to is the M1911, a famous weapon that saw an incredibly long lifespan. First developed in 1911, this gun was used in both World Wars and the war in Vietnam until finally being replaced as a standard issue pistol in the US Army in 1986. It was designed by John Browning, who was, you guessed it, a devout Mormon. The connection between Joshua Graham and John Browning goes a bit deeper than their shared faith though. They both happen to share the same birthplace, Ogden, Utah. One of the Chinese assault rifles has an interesting, historically inspired name that probably goes unnoticed by most players. As any Fallout fan knows, the Xianlong assault rifle is the most powerful Chinese assault rifle to be found in the game, so the developers cleverly named the weapon after the Xianlong dragon. This creature, which is most commonly referred to as the Black Dragon, is a prominent figure in Chinese mythology. He is the highest tier of dragon and the most powerful among the king dragons. This legend proved popular enough to inspire the name of the Black Dragons, a feared Chinese-American gang that continues to operate out of Southern California. REILLY'S Rangers, one of the kinder mercenary factions in Fallout 3, were inspired by a real-life British Army infantry unit in the French and Indian War called Rogers Rangers. Robert Rogers' men were proud of their Irish heritage and reflected that in their signature green uniforms. Likewise, REILLY'S Rangers wear green battle armor, which prominently features an emblem of a four-leaf clover. Another character that appears to be inspired by a real-world figure is Fallout 2's Pretty Boy Lloyd, who is not so subtly named after 1930s American gangster Charles Pretty Boy Floyd. Like Pretty Boy Lloyd in the game, Floyd was known for being a very efficient thief. If his name sounds familiar, you may recognize him as the character Channing Tatum portrays in the 2009 film Public Enemies. Many Fallout fans have had the opportunity to virtually visit the city of Pittsburgh in the Fallout 3 DLC The Pit, but you may not be aware of some of the obscure local references that can be found in it. The character of Lulu, a raider who can be seen in the Uptown area, has an odd habit of giving you bowls of noodles. This is a reference to a beloved Asian restaurant, Lulu's Noodles, which is located in Uptown Pittsburgh. Another character, Red Up, is thought to be named after a bit of colorful Pittsburgh slang, where red up is often used to mean clean up or tidy up. Perhaps a joke on the developer's side, since if you've seen Red Up, you know that a bath or two would probably do him some good. You thought you knew Fallout, but hopefully you learned just a thing or two more. Do you know any other historical or literary references we didn't cover here? Share them in a comment section below and we might include it in a future episode. If you like Hidden History, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hi there, I'm Austin, and I have a YouTube channel called The 20-Something Nerd, where I do not update nearly frequently enough, but if you want to watch me play Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, I am currently doing a playthrough of that. I am also the video editor for the Hidden History series, and before that, The Witcher and Dragon Age. I'm stepping in as the narrator this week because we're a little short-handed. I hope you don't mind. Occasionally, you may see me in the comments, very rarely commenting on a couple things to clear some stuff up here and there. Please be nice. You can also follow me on Twitter at ARHorrigan. I'll just put it right up here. And if you like this episode, go ahead and check out the other Fallout episodes. And yeah, I'm gonna go now. Outros are hard.